Right, folks, so here we have a Capcom Ghosts and Goblins. You might recognize some of the layout of the board, but it's very similar to what we had for Trojan, or even just a similar size to 1942, which I fixed. And we got stuff roughly in the same place as Trojan here. So just wanted to show you already what happens when we power this guy. Let me just bring this around and show you. As you can see, nothing happens, nothing at all. So this is not even booting, or at least not displaying a picture. So there's a couple of things I would like to do first. First, I'm gonna check the sorry, I'm gonna bring this back here. I'm gonna check the all the program proms here. These guys, and I believe this is music. The other stuff on the back of the board is all the graphic stuff, but this is music, this is sound, and program, and maybe some character. I'm not sure exactly, but and all the yeah, this is all main program board. This guy here is part of the sound circuit, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. This is our processor. There's some heat on these guys, so something is running. This is our processor, and these are the schematics here, and these are just the direct stuff in relation with the processor. I've already done some probing, and let me show you. I also want to check the program ROM, so I'm going to run these to the EEPROM reader burner thing to check them against MAME. But here you see all these address lines here from 8, 9, 10 to 20. So it's safe to say here, roughly here. And we've got absolutely no pulsing signal. They're all stuck high. Now we're getting into... Yeah, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is low. 5 is low, 6 is, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 and 5. 5 is low, 6 is high, and everything is high from 6. 5 is low, that's the bus, whatever, bus status. And 6 is bus, what is that, bus acknowledge or whatever. I need to look it up, the pin out. I just want to check a couple of things here as well. We got a pin 40, which is halt, and that's high. I believe that's okay. It's active low. This is our halt 40. 40 active low. We've got 39, which is crystal. This is tied to ground, so this is low. Okay. And have we got a... Sorry, have we got... Yeah, we've got some clock. We've got some clock, so we should be getting at least some result on screen. I haven't checked exactly the speed of the clock, but for now I'm going to assume that this is okay. And the reset is the one after, and that's... Yeah, okay, that's high. So it's not resetting, it's just not booting. But the fact that there's no activity on the address line, I wonder if this guy is fried altogether. We should get some activity, at least on A1. Or A0, which is pin what? Pin 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the one that should be toggling the most, really. We got absolutely nothing. So this entire bus here is just dead. We got some activity on what is that? What is that? Is that data lines? See, we got a Z80 here driving some of our with some of our data, so it could be signal coming from the data lines here. I don't think they share the address lines, but the data bus should be shared, I think. Yeah, there's not much happening on this guy, so I'm gonna check all the pins on this and check all the EEPROMs as well, just make sure that they're okay. Because if the program is wrong, well, not much is happening. Although we should be seeing some attempts by the CPU to go to these address lines and go through them, and obviously not finding stuff, but either rebooting or going through all the addresses. So I'm wondering if this guy is low. I'm just gonna check what the status of BA and BS is. Instead, I'm just going to reboot it because it could be different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. low and high. Okay, low and high. I'm just going to check online what that is. On the data sheet, this is what we get here. BS low, so it's one of these, either normal running or sync whatever that is. Is there any information on what sync acknowledge means? Is that sync acknowledge indicate what the MPU is waiting for external synchronization on an interrupt line. So is there one of the interrupt lines toggling? So what's that? 36. Don't know what that is. Okay, I'm just gonna go through the data sheet and schematics, see if I can make some sense of all that. This processor is all new to me, so let's spend a little bit of time on this. Alright, so let me just gather all my stuff here. So after some probing and actually some comparing with the my other Ghosts and Goblins, that's the bootleg board that I had for a while, and it's similar, it's very similar. In fact, it's so similar it's identical, but essentially what we have here is well, I got similar signals on the CPU, and because none of the addresses were at least registering, but I would expect that on the or toggling, I would expect that on the Z80, but on this guy I'm not sure. But I went ahead and just socketed and put a new working that I know works anyway, CPU. That didn't change anything, but it's nice to have that socket anyway, and rule that out. So at least I know that. So I started looking at those BABS signals, and it was telling that there's an IRQ. It's waiting for synchronizing of an interrupt. So I started looking at the only interrupt signal here that's tied. The other ones are tied to high, but that's clocked here, and it was high. So I'm going, well, for it to actually engage, it's active low, it should go low, but it actually goes low on boot, on the bootleg. So it goes low, goes through all the self-test, and then goes high. And here I couldn't see any change. In fact, I couldn't see any changes here at the clock. That's the only one that is likely to change, and that actually changes on the bootleg. So I started looking, I will go back to that by the way, but I started going through the sync generation, and it's going back to the clock and started looking at all the signals, what was coming in here as a clock for all these are these counters for horizontal and vertical lines. And by the way, the REQ is coming from here, but that whole section essentially just started at the clock. So started from there, could have started from here and worked my way back, all the same, back into those counters, or from here into those counters. Anyway, that's what I did from here, because I knew it was working. So I checked this one, all the clock was actually coming out into these two here, 2K and 1K, 1K and 2K, and then these for vertical, 1L, 2L. I was getting no clock on these, no signal here, the clock. And this clock here is generated by this guy here at 3L, 3L, yeah. And itself, it's getting its well, it's clocked from somewhere else, but it's getting its input here from pin 2 from this guy, and I could see that. Well, let me show you that this guy here has a ton of. Sorry, this was pin 2 of this guy, and it's floating. No, here it's floating. Is it this one, or yeah, there you go. So this pin 2 here, that's an input, and it's floating. So it's not getting something from somewhere else, and what it's getting it from is pin 15 of here. So I start looking at pin 15, and indeed 14, 13, all this section actually here, we're starting to get a signal. But all these pins, I think it's 11 to 14 to 15 are, sorry, 11, and all these guys are dead. So there's nothing here. And then I started probing the other ones, and I found another couple of, couple of floating signals. So there's nothing here. So these are all Fujitsu LS161. So I need to change these anyway, because I'm getting floating stuff, not good. But you know what, I'm going to change all 4, because like I said in the previous video, when one fails, this one started failing. It's a matter of time till these 2 fail. So I'm going to change all these 4 and see if we at least get a picture or some sign that it's booting or trying to boot. So let's do that. Okay, so I got the 4 LS161 replaced here. Those 2 had failed. This one came up okay, but I wanted to just replace the lot, because like I said, batches, they all fail at the same time, or very soon, one after the other. So, and there you go, we have some sign of life. In fact, when I powered it on, I saw some, yeah, with something. So I'm not too worried about what's going on here. We have a sync issue. Our board is not getting sync, and well, I'm just gonna have a look at the schematics and see where the sync is coming from, and take it from there. Alright, so our sync is here. This is the edge connector thing here, our sync, and it's going through that 4L, which is 4L. What's going on at 4L? 4K4L. This LSO8, and it's getting its signal from this chip and this, and that's coming from here as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna start probing the legs of, well, 4M, this 4L, this 3M, and let's see if we've any dead signal or anything like that. 4L, we're looking at pin 6 is the output, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here I need, actually, am I getting a sync at all? It should be around here. Yeah, the sync signal. So here pin 6, we said AJKL, yeah, that's it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just getting dead stuff here. Interesting. So this chip is not getting any signal. That seems unlikely at all. Am I? Oh no, it's not. Wait. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is stuck high. 4 is stuck high, which is unlikely. Should be both toggling really. Pin 4. I'm just gonna have a look at these signals here as well. 11 on 3M. 3M, 3M should be here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is stuck low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 and 13. 12, 13. Now, why is this stuck low? Shouldn't this be high? Oh no, this is, oh yeah, we got inversions here. Okay, fair enough. So let's look at this guy then, because 12 is stuck low, 13 is toggling, 11 is stuck low. Okay, let me pull out the data sheet for both of these and then see what signal I should be expecting depending on what's coming in. Okay, so this is an AND gate, so this is pulsing and this is high, so this should be essentially pulsing this guy at the same rate as this guy. I'm not gonna check the scope, I'm gonna take it at face value for now. And here we've got is that the right one? 3M11, yeah. 1 2 3 4 7 8 9 10 11, and then we've got 12 and 13. And this is an 08 as well. No, I'm looking at the wrong chip here. I'm looking at the wrong chip. Because 3M is a different chip altogether. 74. This is being LS08 as well. Why is it saying 3M? Because 3M is a different chip. Unless this is coming from the same one, that would make sense. This is really odd though, because 3M. Am I reading this wrong? I think the schematics is wrong. I think this is the same chip as here. I'm just going to run a quick continuity test. You know, it's actually all this chip. So pin 4 should be tied. If we look at pin 4 here, should be tied with pin 11 of this chip, and indeed, there you go. Yeah. So pin 11, pin 6 is the output. Pin 4 is coming from pin 11. Which is getting its input from 12 and 13. So let's see what we get here as well. So 1 6 8 9 10 11 12 13. 12 and 13 are just dead. There's nothing happening here. So these are inputs. So this is let's say we've dead outputs here, or broken trace somewhere here, but this guy is 4K. That's LS138. I think that's Fujitsu chips. Yeah, 4K here, and we're looking at pin 11 and 12. So 8 9 10 11. Oh my god, everything is, look at that, everything is just floating on this guy. Yeah, we're not gonna get much going on here. Another Fujitsu. I saw a few other Fujitsu ICs. There's another one here, 138. We need, yes, we have floating stuff here as well. Do you know what? I don't even know. This is 7L. 7L is involved in the world. I don't think it's here. Regardless, let's just replace this for now and see what we're dealing with. Well, we knew that already, but that LS138 is faulty. I'm going to take out the other one and put it back. Actually, I'm going to take out all the other ones and put the original ones back because I think I have only one left, so I need to order more. But at least I'll have sockets for when I get more. This is the second LS138, and it's coming up as faulty. I did actually pull up the schematics. The noise you're hearing, by the way, is my I have a new desolder gun. My old Hako desolder gun just died on me, failed, and I couldn't fix it. The solder bits that are on the element are a different type of solder, and I don't have any of that. I couldn't fix it. I got this replacement in the meantime, and I must say it's actually doing the job, in fact, much better than my Hako was, for much cheaper, and the tips are much cheaper as well. So far, it's been great. It's been so much easier. Yeah, it's just a bit noisier, but I can deal with that. Hopefully, it won't show too much in the video. This has proven to be a great little one and quite cheap. Thank you, Jan Beta, for recommending this guy to me. But anyway, I looked at the schematics here, and 7L, which is that one LS138, is driving all the enable lines of different ROMs. So, I mean, we're not going to get a booting board without that anyway. So I think I have only one, so I'm going to use that one for the sync signal, and I'll see if I can rescue one from another spare board I use for parts. Hopefully there's a LS131 there, 138, sorry. Alright, so I don't have one here, but because it was mostly dead, but I've got an LS138 here, and yeah, there you go. We've got our sync back, so it's not booting yet. I actually see some bars here. I'm wondering if we have some well, graphic issues, it wouldn't surprise me anyway. I have another 138 here. I'm going to put that down on this guy and see if that makes our board boot. There you go. We've got a booting board. Well, I spoke too fast, did I? No, it takes a while. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Well, okay, interesting. We're upside down, but this is the Japanese version. I didn't even double check actually on the on main. Well, I checked the ROMs, but I didn't check which version really we're getting. It just came up as a okay. But okay, interesting. We've got some background issues. Sprites seem correct. It seems to have some background issues here and there, and then the whole screen is inverted. I think there's an entire section just to flip the screen in front, or is it a dip switch? I'll have to look at what the dip switches do as well. But yeah, booting board. How cool is that? Okay, let me tidy things up. I'm actually gonna just unsocket this one, and there's another 138 somewhere here. These two as well, because these two have failed already. It's a matter of time till these guys crap out on me as well. But yeah, encouraging. Okay, yeah, the screen inverted was actually just the dip switches. They were all the way up. This should be all down. We got music. That's really cool. We got music as well. Man, I'm not being very lucky with these Capcom Go boards. So it's been a few days, probably a week and a half now since the previous segment, and I decided to power this board and continue fixing it, and this is what I get greeted to. The colors have disappeared. Well, they didn't just disappear. I plugged the board in, and I've already kind of partially fixed some of it, but I plugged the board in and plugged the board in, and I was greeted to a fried cap. There was actually a little spark. Something must have shorted. Something must indeed have shorted, and I was greeted by a small spark. Come on, focus, guy. Never mind. Focus on my finger, maybe. There you go. And this guy, there's a fine smell of burning, and burning in this area as well. I could smell it. Anyway, long story short, this cap had failed. So I started looking at the color output. Let me grab the schematics here. So the color output here, we get the R, G, and B. So these go through these RAMs here, which are these guys here, 3 RAMs, and these go to these 367. I'm just going to double check what these are in my magic book. 367. They're probably just hex type drivers or something like that. 367. Exactly, yeah, hex drivers. Yeah, sort of buffers of sorts. Anyway, long story short, I started looking. I replaced the cap here, and then I started looking at the outputs. But was I getting any outputs? And I sort of was. But the signal was very, very different for each. For each of these guys. Actually, I have my scope set up for this right now. Anyway, so I started looking at the value of all these resistors, and initially I thought I'm missing green here. It looks like I'm missing green. But I'm missing more than green really. But so I started looking at the green output here, the green area. I did find R7 was actually 10k ohms as opposed to 220 ohms, so I replaced that, and here it is. This is it here, and this is this guy. This guy right here, R7. Replaced it. I checked the other ones, they checked fine, and still no luck. So after replacing the cap and that shorted or just completely failed, and this guy wasn't shorted, it had completely burnt. Still no good. So I started looking at this chip here, and it's interestingly, now this is slightly skewed because the board is running, but I was gonna actually let me switch this off and disconnect everything and see exactly what I mean. I started looking at the connection, trying to find out which leg is connected to what. So this was the output, exact output. It should be connected to everything here, because these are all connected to each other to one single point. So all these resistors. So I was trying to find out exactly if the schematics were correct, because I had been getting different value for R7, so I was trying to find out which pin it was connected to. So I just started probing, and I found that it was connected to pin 7, which is again correct. Pin 7 right here, but it was also connected to pin 8 and pin whatever here, 3, 1, at least 2 more pins, and I was going, oh my god, these guys are shorted then. So this chip is bad. So I desoldered it and then tested it like that manually, just to check indeed that it was bad, and there you go. Yeah, so this chip is fried. So I got my my tester out just to confirm. I'm not going to do a full test here. These are so handy. They not entirely accurate, so it doesn't find the LS376 as LS, but it will find them as like that if you specify them. And sometimes even that is not enough. But anyway, this time it finds a fault. If that fails, you can test them as HC as well. The levels are low on, they're a bit more they need less levels, but if the tests, if they fail on both tests, you can assume that it's faulty, and it was faulty indeed as well. So I started doing this for the other chips as well. I just wanted to check that, and this was shorted as well, and this was shorted as well on many other legs as well. So I started replacing all of them and test them, and they all failed one after another. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, but something must have shorted. So I decided to replace all 3 of them. So I'm doing that right now. Put them on nice, lovely sockets. Let's start this board again. Bit of a power supply issue here, and also I'm getting weird signals from my RGB line. Anyway, it's fixed some stuff, but not all of it, which is really odd. So we seem to be getting more consistent colors, although it's funny, if I remove the chips here, you can see that I'm getting red. Okay. Right, I'm getting nothing, but here if I plug in the green one, I'm getting green. Fair enough. And here I'm getting blue as well. So I'm more than likely getting the right colors out of these chips, but I wonder. I wonder if I'm getting a RAM issue of some sorts. So I need to investigate that again. You know what, I'm gonna stop on this issue for now, move on to something else, and attack this with a fresh head. So the next issue I suppose I want to fix, because it's gonna bug me if I don't, is address this kind of stuff here, the repeating patterns. You see here we get this repeated pattern, This here is repeated here. We just get repeated stuff here again and again, and we're missing some stuff. So we get edit, I should say credit. So we're getting adders issue, I'd say. So typically when the program is drawn, it goes through a series of adders that actually just count or counter, sorry, or adders or whatever, but just count or add every bit to know exactly which address it should look up in ROM. And when one of them gets missed, we get these sort of typical issues of repeating patterns. One of them goes blank and it's filled with the other, with the previous value from the adders. If I look at the schematics here, is this one? No, let me dig out the schematics first. There you go. Here, this is actually the same page as the sync signal, but you can see here it's going to these 171s. Are these adders, counters? They're counters, aren't they? Yeah, they're counters. So these would count, and you can see exactly what it's counting. It's counting the horizontal lines, or it's counting the vertical lines. It's counting them obviously in exponents of 2. So you get 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and essentially it just iterates through all these double exponents of 4, and then we look up in ROM which value should it be addressing. So it goes through these counters, and I know these are good already, but they're generated by these counters, those signals. So I know these are good because we replace them. It's these guys over here, and these 4 guys, 161. We found that these were wrong and not generating those sort of enable lines or enable signals. So where are these going? Well, these are going to all sort of stuff, but actually what I'm interested in is the visual stuff. So it's probably sent to some sort of RAM, so it's sent to the other board here, those connectors, that's horizontal and vertical. In this case here, we're interested in the horizontal, yeah, this horizontal line. It's that pattern is repeated here and here and here and here. So it's the horizontal signal that isn't working properly. So it's also going to page 68, which is over here, and page 68 is coming from here. So we get the vertical and horizontal signals, and it's going to these chips here, 4J and 5J, and then it's going to these guys and into RAM. So I just want to check first. I'm pretty sure the inputs are right because they're coming straight again. Once again, they're coming straight from our 161, but just want to make sure that I'm getting something. So I'm just gonna have a look at these signals, that I'm getting something, make sure that it's not a broken trace, and then see what comes out of here, and then we'll move on to this one, and then we'll move on to this one. Yeah, I'd say it's probably likely that it's something in this general area. Alright, 4J is this guy. Guess what? It's a Fujitsu chip. In fact, there's a series of three LS86, all these, and these are all Fujitsu chips. And then the next one, 3H, 4H, 5H. We're looking for 3H, 4H, 5H. It's these guys. These are Mitsubishi. Less likely to have errors, but you can't just discard it. So anyway, our inputs are coming from pin 1, 4, 9, and then 9, 12. It's 12, but it's the vertical signal. And then on 5J, it's coming at 12 and 9. So 1, 4, 9. So to do the 1. Actually, let me just get the scope here. Alright, I got my scope plugged in. So 1, okay, we got a nice and square signal. 2, 3, 4, 6, sorry, I went 9, yeah. And then the other one, we're looking, oh, interesting. See what happens when I bridge it. Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, that might be okay. Let me double check it something else. It's hard to tell. Yeah, no, I'd say that's okay actually. 149, and then we're looking at 9 here, yeah, and then 9, 12, so 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so we get signal coming in. So coming out with this chip, at least 4J for now, we're going to look at 3, 6, 8, 11. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, we get a signal out. 4, 5, 6. Ah. Okay, that's not healthy. Let me just center this. So this is what I should be getting. This type of signal, something nice and square with, goes at different variable rates or whatever, but something similar to this. Even if it was high speed, it should go this. Not this. This is not. Doesn't go to 5 volt. It's definitely not a square signal. It doesn't. Does it sync? It syncs whenever it wants to. So that's not a healthy signal. So I'd say this guy is the one that's bad. Possibly something else here. But you know what? Actually, let me just try and piggyback this guy. Yeah, there you go. So that's fixed our issue. So it was indeed this guy at see if I remove the chip 4J. If I put it back, there you go. We got all our characters displayed properly. Interestingly, the logo, the Ghosts and Goblins or whatever that is, Daikimura or something like that, is displayed with characters, and so is our little fella here. Let's say we get. Does it get halved here? Is that normal? I don't know. I think it is. Might be. Anyway, so we're gonna need to replace this guy, but not only. Oops. Sorry, my crane failed me there. Not only this guy, we're gonna need to replace. We're gonna replace all these 3 86 here, and I'm gonna have a look at the board, see if there's any more, because there you go. There's another one here. Oh my god, there's a lot of them. Yeah, it's a matter of time till one of them fails, and I mean this issue is an indication that this can happen. This happened right in the middle of the fix. So we've 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 that I need to replace. I'm gonna have a look to see if there's any more. Oh, there you go. I can see 138 here, which is the ones I replaced over here, but this guy, because 2 of them had failed, and like I said, they fell in batch, so I want to replace this guy as well. Not happy with leaving it here, and I've gone so far at this stage, I might as well replace them. Okay, let's do that. There's our faulty LS86 faulty. We knew that. Alright, let's keep on. Alright, so we got our 3 LS86 here replaced. The 2 that were here, and the 138s, the last 2 remaining ones that were here. I think that's all of it now on this board. And man, essentially I should really have just gone ahead and replaced all the Fujitsu chips, because that's essentially what we've been doing here. Although it's it's not what it's about. It's about finding the reason why things are failing, and I think that's why you guys like it as well. Anyway, so next, yeah, that took care of our character issues. I think next I want to get rid of all these bars here. So we're gonna flip the board and see what's going on there, and then we'll deal with that issue with the colors. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I need to sleep on it first. Let's see what's going on with those bars. I'm looking at the schematics here, and this is the scroll, or yeah, the SCR. I usually thought they meant screen, but but it's scroll. It's essentially the background layers. It's actually composed of multiple layer, X, Y, and Z layer. It's namely these guys here. So X, Y, and Z, and I assume. Now, if I try to make heads or tails of what's going on here, I can see that this bar actually only occur in the background. They don't actually overlap the front stuff here, or even here. It's hard to know. Here you can see some green there overlapping here. So this is probably just background layer, and then there's a middle layer, and then there's a front layer, which would explain why sometimes. Oh no, I thought we've had characters going over grass, but it's not the case. Actually, that wouldn't make sense necessarily. But anyway, so I'd say it's a way background layer being affected by these. Now whether that's X, Y, or Z would make sense that it's X or Z. Probably X in this case. It would be. To the 3B would be these guys here. 3B, 1B, 3B. It would be these guys here. Let me just try and remove them, see what happens. Yeah, interestingly, if I remove these, we get the screen filled with just random stuff, but we get the middle layer and the front layer still displayed. Or at least maybe it works like that to some extent. Anyway, so that would indicate that something in this part of the circuit is probably this chip. But here we have whatever we have. What are they? 194 chips. What are these? I need to look that up. But I think this is where we're going to need to start probing the output of these, going into these, and what's being outputted here. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just looking at it, and I'm not super familiar with these chips. Sorry, I was saying I'm not super familiar with the 194s, so I'm just going to have a look at the data sheet and see what's going on. Anyway, I'll get back to you in a minute. So something interesting here, bit of luck as well, but something interesting. So the output of sorry, let me focus. So the data lines all go into these two chips here, and the actual output going into this guy, the 157, that's sort of just outputting, well, the three planes together to be processed afterwards, are coming out of pin 15 of the first one of each batch bank of these two. So one, and then pin 12 as well, sorry, of the other one, pin 15 and 12. So if I look here at pin 15 of this guy, this is the output I'm getting. It looks okay, but if I look at pin 15 of this guy, sort of get something different. Let me just get this one, pin 15, pin 15. The third one, pin 15. So this is sort of the output I should be getting, either this one or this one. It's more or less somewhat similar. And if I look at pin 12, so pin 15, 14, 13, 12, that's okay. No, sorry, that's okay. Yeah, and on all of these, pin 12, yeah. So these are fine. But pin 15 of this guy, I get this very, very clear. It repeated at similar intervals, lines or peaks, which would correspond sort of to lines here I'm getting. And so I did something that I seem to do a lot these days because it's handy, but I piggybacked yet again another one of these, and ta-doom, lines have disappeared. So yes indeed, and if I look at the signal coming out of that guy, very different again. Now it's probably corrupted because there's, yeah, you can see signs of small corruption on the screen, but it's much closer to what it should be. So let's replace this guy, and because it's not a Fujitsu IC, they're obviously less prone to failing, like especially in batches like that. There's a few Fujitsu I see here. I see a few here. Actually, I'll check as well if there's any of the other types that I replaced on the other board. I don't see anything actually. There's not that many here. I just see those LS 283. 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of those 283s. There's more here, here. But that's all. Anyway, I'm gonna replace this guy, and hopefully that will fix permanently, or semi-permanently at least, our bars issue, and then we can focus on that color issue. Also, I don't hear any sounds. Could be just my the noise from my station here. 194 testing faulty. Let's replace it. There you go. So I've got my LS194 socketed and replaced, and ta-da! How cool is that? So there remains one major issue though, which is our colors are completely wrong. So I'm gonna get some sleep on it, and I'll probably enjoy a whiskey or two for tonight, and get back to this in a couple of days when I've had some rest, and I can think about it with a clear head. Also, I'm not 100% sure, but are we missing sound? Oh no, we have. Although it's very faint. Have we cap issues? Because I'm at max here. No, sorry, this is contrast. Volume. I'm at max here, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. So we'll have to probably address that as well, maybe recap the sound system. Because the fact that we're getting some volume would say, maybe it's our pots. I'll have a look. Anyway, I think next is more important to fix our color issue. Let's get some sleep. Right, so I actually pushed things a bit that very same evening, and I started looking. Well, let me get the schematics here. I started looking at the. I initially thought, okay, I've changed these guys. Let me look at the RAMs, and I couldn't see anything wrong with the signal on the RAMs, at least not on the scope or on the logic probe. So I started looking at, well, where is this signal coming from, and here with these 153, and these are also Fujitsu IC. So I was like, oh, suspect straight away, because all the data from the characters, the objects, and the scroll layer is coming from into these to some extent. 3E, 4E, and 3F, and all these three chips actually share the same. Well, get all the inputs and then send that to these 273 and 245. So I started looking at these, and I couldn't see anything wrong. Again, I couldn't see anything wrong on the scope or on my logic probe or anything that would actually look suspect. So before I went all crazy on this other stuff, because I've already replaced quite a few IC on here, I just went in and double checked the resistor values here, because I was like, okay, we're getting sort of colors that look like they're in the right place. So what else is going on, you know? And indeed, I started looking at consistently see that R1 here, the 100 ohm resistor value, was actually reading sometimes a few tens of Ks, kilo ohms on all three, and then I'd replace that. Which one was it? The R7 220 ohms, and this was also registering super high on all the two other ones. So I replaced these. You can see the blue ones here, and then the other one I had one of the same color, but it's replaced on all three banks. And there you go. Pretty happy with it. We've we have a running board. So I think last thing to address now, and I will do this afterwards, but last thing to address is the sound. Why am I not getting more volume than that? It's very faint. And that's the volume at max. I suspect we probably have caps that need replaced, but I also want to check those resistor values, and so I'll check that whole area. I know sound is coming out of those chips, so because we can clearly hear it, but I just want to make sure first, maybe check the levels on these amps, but I suspect we have probably need to replace the caps, or we'll have a look at this guy at some point, but for now I just want to maybe just replace them anyway. I'll do that later on. Sorry about the blurred video here. Anyway, yeah, let's get some sleep this time, and we'll continue this tomorrow. You know what, I spoke too fast. You see this grey line patch here and here? That's not natural, and that's telling me it should be grass actually. This should be green. It's grass, but it should be green. God, so we're still on. I assume the graphics there for the background are on the other board, but it looks like the graphics are actually being pulled. What's not being addressed correctly is the color, and I wonder if it's this guy here, because I've tested all these. Again, this is the RGB output. We have our color RAMs. I've just looked at the signal for all of these chips here, and it tested fine. That's why I changed the resistors. But what I even looked at was these guys, and we got the characters, the objects, and the screen bus here, or data lines, or whatever it's called. But if I look here, this is this guy here. I want you to look at pin 2, 5, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 2. Not plugged in. There you go. So pin 2, toggling to 5, so 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 9. 9 should be toggling, and there's nothing happening on 9. 10, 11, 12 is toggling indeed. 12, 13, 14, 15, yeah, 15 is toggling, and 16 should be toggling. But 12 here is completely dead. If I, there you go, if I bridge it, we do get our grass back. So it looks like I need to change this guy as well. LS273. Man, that's a lot of ICs. No wonder this board was dead. But then again, it's no wonder. This was stored for so many years in a damp shed, left to sort of rust, and God knows why it was stored there. It probably had failed at some point, and then my friend picked all these up when he cleared the place, and yeah, it ended up there, just not being used or fixed or anything like that. Should this be green as well? I'll have to check that as well. I think so. Let me bridging. Yeah, no, I think this is okay. But yeah, that grass needs to be yeah, indeed, actually, because I didn't pick that up, but that shouldn't have been a green at the bottom of the tree. Okay, let's just change this quickly. Okay, so I have the LS273 replaced here, and that's indeed fixed. The remainder, let me switch this off, remainder of our graphic issues. No, that didn't change anything. So our grass is now all nice and green once more, and I just noticed since changing monitor, I'm not getting those crazy refresh stuff, so this obviously is working better with the camera. The other thing is that I was just probing with my handy sound probe on the various areas of the sound, and what I thought was an issue, so we get plenty of volume right out of this guy. The problem being that I'm actually only inputting mono into this monitor from one side, so I'm obviously not getting enough levels to get the maximum sound I could get out of this. I did try my other board, my bootleg board, into this monitor and setup, and I'm getting the exact same levels. So this is not an issue with the sound system, it's just an issue with my connectivity on my monitor. So, well, essentially this board is fixed. There's quite a lot of ICs that had gone bad. With multiple problem with well, it wasn't booting, with issues with the with some clock signals, with issues with our sync, with graphical issues, with color issues, yeah, whole sorts of stuff. But we're back working now. So folks, thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. Don't forget, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There's a Discord server if you want to chat, and Patreon if you want to help the channel. Folks, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.